Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back
family?
to Ministry Talks Podcast, the place where we don't know everything, but we're willing to walk with you through anything.
That's right.
How's it going, man?
It's going really good.
Dude, this is episode 7 already.
This is the one before the last one.
Yes, I know. The one before the last one.
I'm having fun with this. I can't believe it.
I know. This has been awesome. I hope it's been awesome for you guys, too. And in case you haven't yet, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, comment on some of the posts and everything here. And you can reach us at mintalkspodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Like, give us some feedback. We really love it. And also, you can buy us a cup of coffee.
I'd love that.
buymeacoffee.com/mintalkspodcast. All of that will be in the description below. And it's a good thing that we actually are getting we're gaining some traction. We're getting some supporters here.
And
it's
I'm
good
loving,
stuff.
we are loving the emails. I mean,
Oh yeah, the emails have been great.
We're
man.
loving the comments. We're loving the feedback. It's been great to kind of talk about, hey, what is that you're doing? What's going on? And so it's been cool to actually just talk about what we're doing,
Yeah.
So it's been great.
It's been awesome. So, hey, here in episode 7, what we're going to talk about today is personal disciplines and private sacrifices.
Yeah.
Personal disciplines and private sacrifices.
Yeah.
Let me set it up like this before I turn it over. I got some questions for you today, man.
Okay.
Okay. So personal disciplines are specifically that, right? Personal disciplines. But if you're not good at personal disciplines, then will you be good at ministry disciplines? Because ministry disciplines are something a little bit different than personal disciplines.
Right.
Private sacrifices are just that. Things that maybe you sacrifice that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
Little things that you give up or exchange, that kind of thing. Some of the things that you may want to pursue but don't because of certain instances in your family or things happening like that.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to be a really good episode. So Isaiah, I got a question for you.
Might have an answer.
Maybe, right? Yeah. How do your personal disciplines affect your ministry disciplines? And can you describe for me the difference between the two?
How does my personal disciplines
Correct.
affect
Your ministry
my
disciplines.
ministry disciplines?
But describe them first. What are your
Okay.
personal disciplines and what are some of your ministry disciplines? And then how do they impact or affect each other?
Okay. My personal discipline. I'm a gym rat. I love the gym. I haven't gone in a couple weeks. School and family and life just gets in the way.
Yeah.
But that's also an excuse because the gym is open 24 hours a day.
Okay.
And what that means for me is if I can get up early, like ungodly hour at 5 to go work out.
5 is ungodly.
I feel like God moves in the double digits.
There you go. Nice. Okay.
I believe God
All right.
moves in the double digits. So what does that mean? If I have a daily discipline to go to the gym and work out and eat well and take care of my body, and if I'm taking the necessary steps and the precautions to be on time, to be diligent, not just, and here's the thing, that means I'm going to bed at a decent time. That means I'm not staying up wasting time. That means I'm trying to be as productive as possible in my personal discipline.
Right.
I also like to reach out and talk to my wife. We kind of go over like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And then we touch base again. What is on the agenda for today? Because if we're on the same page, it just makes sense for the day to flow well.
Right.
I think that in my personal discipline, I learned early on when I was in an internship program to have a daily devotion, to spend time with God, and so what I do is I do both. Like I'll be in the gym and that is my devotion time where I listen to music, I read through sermon, and sometimes people would say, well, that doesn't work, but that works for me.
Right.
But I don't want you to think I don't sit and read my word, because I do.
Yeah.
I do sit, and I'll sit at a table. I'll sit in my office, or I'll sit somewhere in a quiet place in my home, and I'll read my Bible. I'll go over the things for Isaiah. And a lot of my sermons have become from personal devotions.
Right.
Ministry disciplines, showing up to staff meeting on time, responding to an email like the day I get it, not 5 days when Google sends you that, reminder.
That little reminder, hey, this is what you missed.
Yeah. Trying to be as efficient as possible. I call it a hit list.
Okay.
It's a to-do list, but I call it a hit list. It's just what I call it. But it's looking at, okay, who do I need to meet with? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to text? What is the plan and the agenda? What are things that I need to do? And that's also what I do for my personal. So I believe the two, although they're different, they go hand in hand.
Right.
Because if I'm living well, if I'm sleeping well, if everything is going well in my home and I've got a discipline there,
right,
I believe that discipline spills over into my ministry and what I'm doing for the production of the ministry. If I am unhealthy, if I'm lazy, if I'm sloppy, if my car is not cleaned, if it's not vacuumed out, if I'm just ignoring the gas light, if I'm just not, taking it to go get an oil change or whatever those things are, then those minor tweaks, although it may seem like not something you would want to do or inconvenient, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay. It may seem inconvenient for you to do these things. Well, if you don't take care of your car or take care of your body or do the things, your car's not going to last,
right,
or your body's not going to last. But if you are trying to last in ministry, which I applaud my senior pastor for 40 years in ministry.
Ooh, yeah.
I applaud you for being in ministry for over 25 years. When I look at you guys, that to me, you guys do the little things well. And when you do the little things well, it makes the bigger things matter. Like little things make the big things matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I use this, I use this in the gym analogy, but Bob Ross is probably one of the greatest painters of all time.
I got to hear this.
And when you think about Bob Ross and he pays attention, whenever he be like, oh, look at the birds, he's paying attention to the detail.
Right.
Well, if I just go into the gym and I forget to do the core, or if I get to do cardio, or if I'm not paying attention to the little, then I'm going to hurt myself.
Right.
And if I'm trying to, and we call them improper fractions, people who just work nothing but upper body and have a terrible foundation.
Right.
And I want to have a great foundation in my discipline for both ministry and both personal.
Nobody wants a chicken leg ministry.
No. Well, I do. I like chicken legs, but I need to have meat. I need to have some meat on them bones.
Improper fractions, dude.
They're called improper fractions. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just what I like to do, man. And honestly, to be honest with you, I lean to you a lot and ask a lot of questions like, hey, this or that. And so, to me, I always go to Galatians chapter 3. Or Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people.
Right, yeah.
My personal discipline is something that I need to have. And if I'm asking my leaders to have a disciplined life, I myself need to lead by example.
Absolutely.
So when Colossians 3:23, whether you're in ministry, whether you're not in ministry, you can be leading your home. You can be a lead on your job. You can be the head barista, whatever. But whatever you do it willingly as you're doing it unto the Lord. That's what Paul says.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, personal disciplines are they're just that, right? So whether you spend 5, 10, 15, an hour in prayer or in reading the word. I guess the question that's going to come out of this is, do you feel it when your personal disciplines are off?
Yeah.
And where do you see the evidence of that happening?
Yeah, like if things are kind of like shaky in the house, like if me and Heather aren't clicking, because it happens, like if me and Heather just aren't on the same page, or if there's like tension rising in the house, and then, like, if I look at what's going on in ministry, sometimes I have to stop. And then I have to do a checkup on the neck up for Isaiah first. Like, hey, where are you at, first of all?
Right.
Like, okay, am I getting enough sleep? Am I communicating good enough?
You mean you don't just blame other people because you do it right all the time?
Well, let me see. I'm 33, so 23-year-old Isaiah probably would have played the blame game. But with some wisdom and some growth and some maturity, I realized, hold on, stop for a second. Isaiah, you're not healthy right now. Like, maybe I need a date night with my wife, and maybe we need to communicate, or maybe I need some time with my guys. Maybe she needs some time with her guys. Maybe I need to stop, sit in silence. I hate silence, but sometimes maybe I need to sit in silence and just. So for me, no, I don't play the blame game. And if something's off at home, then something's off in the ministry. And what did we just say in the last episode? That if a man cannot take care of his home,
Right.
how can he be trusted to take care of my house?
Yeah.
So for me, Isaiah has to make sure that he is good.
Right.
He is well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy what happens when you are well and then your ministry is well. Those things, it's like butter.
Yeah, man.
And those seasons are amazing. But
Yeah.
even in the seasons when there's tension, it can still be butter. Because in that, God is shifting, God is changing, God is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I believe that if something is off in my home, it does begin to trickle into the ministry. And I try to do my best. You know how some people say, don't bring work home and don't bring home work. You know,
Right.
it's difficult.
Right. It's
At
difficult.
times,
Well, it's difficult in ministry because we're never really off.
I don't feel like I am. Yeah. Like even on my off day, I try to do my best not to respond, but I respond.
Right.
I try to do my best to like not bring ministry talk into the house.
Mm-hmm.
I only do it if it's necessary. If not, I try to be as present and hands on with whatever I need to do in the house. So
That's good.
what about you? You know, you oversee a staff, you oversee a campus.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure that your personal disciplines line up with your private or your personal disciplines and ministry disciplines?
So a lot of my personal disciplines are they're a little different than a lot of people's. I tend to take care of the family first. So my wife and my son still get up and they get out of the house, you know, for work and for school. And so I don't necessarily have the rhythm of get up, drink coffee, do my devotions, yada, yada. I usually get up, I drink coffee, because that's always the first thing is, you know, so that's why I need you to buy me a cup of coffee, .com/mintalkspodcast.
Try to drink a water in between each one.
Right. And then I turn into the chef.
Okay.
So here's why, because it frees up both my wife and my son enough time to get ready in the morning. Mm-hmm. They don't have to scramble. There's not this tension or anxiety to have to get everything done or to wake up super hyper early, that kind of thing. So that's a part of my daily routine, my daily discipline is making sure that I'm there and available for the family. And then, you know, my 2 adult girls, they tend to every now and then need dad to be like, hey, you know, just checking on your schedule today. You know, how's it going? What do you need? All of that kind of stuff. But then I get into my own personal devotions.
Okay.
I get into my own time in the Word with, you know, presence of God, time in the Word. I'll sit down on a piano and maybe worship or something.
There you go.
You know, whatever that is. Now, when that's off, when that routine is off, I don't know if it's just because I've gotten older or if I really enjoy the structure.
Yeah.
But when that routine is off, I'm totally off. The rest of my day gets thrown off.
Yeah.
And so much so that I have to stop for a moment. I have to stop long enough and go, okay, let's bring it back to a basic. What did I miss this morning? And if I didn't miss anything, then what else is going on? So if my personal disciplines are intact, but still something is off, then I have to jump into the spirit and go, what's going on in the spirit that's trying to, you know, that I got to battle through. But if I can go back to a moment and say, hey, I didn't do this today, right? I didn't actually read my word today. I read, you know, an article instead,
right?
Or I was disobedient and hey, I need you to spend a little more time with me, because let's be honest, a lot of pastors who are, you know, they kind of make their own schedule.
They do.
When the Lord says, hey, stop, I need to talk to you. How about let's stop and let him talk to you. Right. Or this morning, actually, it was one of those mornings where we have a lot going on in the Henry home, and I had asked the Lord for something, but man, when I get in my truck, that's my space. I like to crank the music. I'm worshiping. I'm singing out loud. People think I'm crazy because I'm all, you know, I'm just worshiping. I'm getting into it.
I hit the eardrums in the heart.
Exactly.
I got tinted windows, so you can't see. So I enjoy that luxury. So,
but this morning God said, hey, I thought you wanted me to talk to you. Turn off your music.
Ooh. Oh, he's gentle with that.
And I said,
he is gentle with that.
I said, okay, fine. So I turned it off. And, we've been rocking Pastor Mike Jr. stuff. Shout out to Pastor Mike.
My gosh. Download
Winning.
it now.
Oh, my gosh. Go get it. Please go get it.
The whole album. He even has a Black Sheep freestyle.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. Shout out.
And so,
P&J.
but the
Love
song
you.
Winning has been on repeat lately. And, my winning season and all of that. And I've been doing that. But the Lord gently was like, hey, I thought you wanted me to talk to you. Why don't you go ahead and turn off your music? And if I'm disobedient in that moment,
you're going to miss it.
I feel the rest of my day like I missed something. And that throws my disciplines off. It throws my routine off. Mm-hmm. And then therefore, when I hit the office, mm-hmm. then my ministry disciplines are off. Then I'm hyper-focused on something else that maybe isn't that important. Yeah. Currently in this season, I'm still leading worship at our church, which, by the way, if you know anybody who's looking for a part-time something, shout out to Pastor West so that you can come do some ministry with us. It's going to be great.
mintalkspodcast@gmail.com. Just hit us up.
Hit us up. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so I have to be disciplined in my ministry time because my time is a little split right now. I've got to go pick the songs, practice the songs, put the band together, and then and usually during that time I'm contemplating the message. I'm going through what's going on. We've done this Love and Serve series through this December time, and it's been great. But if I miss the personal disciplines, I know my ministry disciplines suffer, and or I miss, and this is the catcher for me, and or I miss a Sabbath. Ooh. And I hate missing a Sabbath. Now, so many people, including my love, my bride of 25 years, she says, I don't get a day off because she works a full-time job outside of church mm-hmm. and then works almost a day-ish doing church work. And when we're not doing church work, we're doing housework. And when we're not doing housework, we're doing laundry. Mm-hmm. And when we're not doing that, we're going shopping.
Yep.
So like
the schedule is always packed.
Finding time for her then and so we take that Sabbath together. We go shopping together or we just chill together. We'll watch a movie together, something to where she gets to rest. If I let my personal disciplines go and they interfere with some of my ministry disciplines, then it interferes with my wife's time and her Sabbath and my Sabbath together. And that is a no-no.
That's so
that
good.
Does not happen or it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, because that leads into the next concept, the private sacrifices.
Yeah. The private sacrifices. What you got? What question you got? Cause I was thinking of something, but
mostly is, give us an example of what you feel is a private sacrifice. Now this is not to, be boastful or arrogant or any of that stuff. This segment of this episode is to let you guys know, and you're in ministry. If you're in ministry, you know this. There are things that you put aside for yourself. There are things that you sacrifice, so that you can be a good leader, so that you can be a good husband or father, so that you can. Yeah. And so, what are a few? What is something that you would consider being a private sacrifice for you?
I'm trying to do best to answer this. Just let me know if I'm off. I do everything paperwork wise on Monday.
Okay.
And all the detail stuff on Monday. Tuesday is staff meeting. Mm-hmm. Then it's sermon prep. Wednesday is youth, cameras, lights, action, go. Mm-hmm. Thursday I try to have a meeting. If I don't have to, that's a half day for me,
right?
Because of how late I'm in there. And then Thursday when I get home, if I finish my homework, Friday is a day where if I did everything I needed to do in the beginning of the week,
right?
Friday can be a day where I did what I needed to do,
mm-hmm.
or it's a day where I don't have to do anything unless it's something around the house. So, like a personal a private sacrifice right now is me going to school,
right?
And I'm sacrificing gym.
Mm-hmm.
The gym is going to be there,
right?
I would love to go like I was 5-6 days a week, hour and a half, but there are more things.
Now you got papers to write.
I've got papers to write. I've got emails. I've got those things that I need to do.
Yeah.
And that private sacrifice will reward me in 4 years, 3 years now, I could probably say.
Right.
And that is and my wife is sacrificing that with me, because she asked me, how are you going to be a father and a husband and this and that,
and a pastor
and
a student,
and a student. But because there's a grace on us right now in this season to do it, and because you did it, there is a grace that actually covers you to be able to sustain and go and do what you need to do. But we made this decision in the summer for me to be able to be in this position that I'm doing now.
Right.
One of the benefits that I also get to, and I hope I'm answering it right.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the benefits that I have is I get to be Uber to my daughter, my 3-year-old. Ever since she was born, all her life, all she knows is she rides with daddy every day. Daddy picks her up, daddy drops her off. And that's a luxury that I did not have when I was working at the warehouse.
Right.
I was working 8 to 4:30, and, Heather had the luxury of being, because she's a property manager, so she worked where we lived. She'd be like, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to eat. And she would take a great nap. She was spoiled. Didn't have to drive far, nothing.
Nice.
But now I am in a position and in a space where if I need to tweak my schedule, I can tweak my schedule if things need to be adjusted. But a lot of the sacrifices that I make privately, it's for my family or for myself. Right. If I'm answering that correctly.
But there's no right or wrong answer. Like that was good. That was good. Sometimes the private sacrifices are, well, let me phrase it like this and then I'll get into it. The private sacrifices that we give or we step into should never be against our character or against our beliefs. In other words, don't sacrifice who you are, who God's made you to be, so that you can be somebody else in someone else's eyes. But
that's good.
But when we say private sacrifices, this is what we mean. So, for example, our next episode, we're actually going to have another guy here with us. His name is Charlie Alford. Yeah. And for me, I love to be at home with my family in the evenings.
I mean, I am an evening guy.
Like if I could be home when all my kids, well, it used to be when all my kids would get home from school, if I could be home, I would love that. But giving up some of that time for a meeting is more of a private sacrifice. Yep. Most people are very appreciative of that, but they don't necessarily see that that's an actual sacrifice of family time. And I don't do it often. I don't do it often because it's a personal discipline of mine. I don't necessarily go outside of my personal disciplines, but when someone's in need or when things happen or whatever, we tend to sacrifice that kind of thing. But Charlie is coming to actually be here in our next episode.
Yeah. And we don't even have the next episode picked out yet.
We don't, because we want him to be able to just speak to whatever's going on in his life and in ministry.
On purpose. On purpose.
Very much on purpose. Well, I say that just to basically say it'll be a Monday night that we actually record, which is a private sacrifice, but it's a private sacrifice that if I didn't say anything, you guys wouldn't know. Right. And that's okay. Those are the things that we're willing to do because we know that it's going to be beneficial. Now, the private sacrifice, like I said, should never be against your character, or against the things that, that you believe and or the standards that you hold in the gospel or in the word. And so, but it's okay to make some of those private sacrifices. It's okay that people don't always know some of the things that you do or some of the things that you give, the details. And here's why I say all of that. I guess in wrapping up, and then you can wrap us up. Here's why I say all of that. There have been pastors that I've been a part of, pastors groups I've been a part of, and or just pastors that I know that are very quick to tell everybody how much they're sacrificing for them.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of annoying.
It's actually, yes. It is quite annoying. And it's not like it makes them any more or any less important. But for some reason, it's just that thing that, like, well, if everybody knew what, like a phrase like this, well, if everybody knew what I gave up, or if everybody knows what I give up. But what does that benefit anyone?
I disagree.
Okay, go for it.
Because I feel like pastors who make the comment, I'm all this busy, they're trying to make it seem like they're more important than they are.
Oh, that's good.
And because what saddens me, I'm not going to say what irritates me, but what saddens me is when somebody calls and I answer, I know you're really busy. No, it's okay.
Right.
I got some time.
Well, we pastors, we leaders have for decades have had that stigma where when people call us, it's an interruption. But that's called ministry.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And so
the sermon that we preach on Wednesdays and Sundays, that is the easy part. Can I say that?
Go for it.
I really believe in if you're a pastor or a leader and you're watching it and you agree, let me know. If you disagree, it's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
To disagree. I think we've kind of messed that up in church culture. I disagree with you, so I don't like you. I think that's the easy part of ministry is getting your sermon on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, but it's what you do in the in-between time, your staff meeting. Let's check in. Let's see how things are going. Hey, how's this? How's that? So like, I'm not saying that we're not busy.
Right.
But what I'm saying is we have an easier flex. We can call an audible a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Than you can on your 9 to 5, 2 15s and a 30.
And what I think what I'm trying to say in some of that is a private sacrifice that we don't need to boast about.
Right. Please don't. If you love your sheep, just love them. Don't tell them I give more than anybody here. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that, because then like our episode prior, I think it was 2 episodes prior,
right.
that, church is business. If you're over here talking about how much you tithe more, then really you ain't gonna get nobody tithe in your church.
Right.
I'm sorry, Pastor.
It's not a competition.
It's not.
Come on, bro.
It's not. It'll be you 4 no more. So I'm excited because because one of the things we did when we were planning before we have Charlie come in was we looked at each other's schedule and I told you, hey, I know evening times are just as important to you. Right. Fridays are our day off, so we didn't want to mess with that. Mm-hmm. But if it works within our schedule, which means I'm going to go home and tell my wife, hey, listen, on this day,
right,
at this time, we have to do it because this is the so.
Yeah, because this is a time that's allotted to do it. And you know what? We don't, and here's my thing. We're not doing it so much that we're breaking routine of the family.
I don't think
this literally is just, hey, babe, this is a one-off.
Yeah.
And things are going well, and we just really want to get Charlie in here. It's going to be a great time. Don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but I'm sure it's going to be good.
He is a part of a church plant called Church for All in the Black Diamond, Washington area.
Yeah. He
was a youth pastor for many years. Matter of fact, he was actually youth pastoring where I'm at now at River of Life Fellowship. Yeah. Him and his wife, they've been married for about almost over 10 or 12 years, something like that. Yeah. 5 kids. Mm-hmm. We're going to go over all this again on the next episode. So with that in conclusion, we are excited to bring him in and talk about ministry. We love you. If you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you do that. Go to mintalkspodcast@gmail.com. This is the space where we don't know everything, but we're walking with you through anything.
That's right. Hey, thank you guys for being with us today. We love you. Again, hit us up at the email. Drop us some stuff in the chats. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and doing what you do best. We're coming back to you with another episode in a little bit. Bye.